What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Sly Jordy, and welcome back to F123, my team career mode for the Singapore Grand Prix of Season 5, our final season in F123. And if you missed last episode, oh my god, you need to go back and watch that immediately. Wasn't a very good race for us in terms of positions, but it was chaotic, absolute chaos, and we were lucky to pull out a P6, to be fair, after a very late pit stop onto the medium. So we were able to gain quite a lot of positions towards the end of the race from outside of the points. 2 safety cars and a massive crash from Charles Leclerc in his home race, in Ferrari's home race, should I say. Yeah, just one of the more chaotic races of the entire series. So, going to be hard to top that in these final few races of the season. Really not long to go now. About 9 races, I think that is. Yeah, so 9 races left to go in this season. We are still just under a month. Yeah, literally just under a month now from the release of F124. We've got our final facility upgrades coming in. Should we do any activities? Just reaction training, I suppose. It's the only one that really benefits us. So basically, we've now completed MyTeam career mode with these upgrades. Absolute maxed out car. There is literally nothing more that we can do with this whatsoever, other than the one durability upgrade that comes from our engine suppliers over at Red Bull. And that comes all the way over in November, like really late into the season. I don't know why that's so late, but it is what it is. So yeah, without further ado, let's actually head over to Marina Bay, getting ready for this. Singapore, not been the strongest around this track. Of course, Season 1 was a completely different layout. It was before we got the updated layout for Singapore, so it was the old layout. So I'm actually really glad that we were able to do the old layout around Singapore on this game before we got into it. And oh my god, look at this weather. Practice 1 and Practice 2 are virtually pointless. Wow, that is lovely to see, because it will not be raining in qualifying or the race. Yep, wow. I mean, qualifying has a slight chance. But race, yeah, almost none. That's a shame, man, because Practice 3 is the shortest of the lot, you know? And I like to do my race strategy things because that really plays into how much fuel you're going to pack for the race. That's the only practice program I do, and it also helps me use, the hard tyres, the mediums, etc. But I'm not going to get that chance, most likely. I mean, I'm going to still enter the practice sessions on the off chance that the rain hasn't started just yet, but I highly doubt it. So yeah, going to be a little bit more difficult to decide what my setup's going to be and all that. But looking at our, our history around Singapore, of course, Singapore Season 1 was really difficult for us. P18. I think we were actually running in the points up until a certain crash. I'm not too sure, but yeah, P18 really wasn't good at all. Season 2 Singapore, a P9. Season 3 Singapore, however, we got a P1, so that's good. And then Season 4, once again, another P9. So other than the odd win in Season 3, we didn't really do very good at Singapore. It might actually, no, it is one of our weakest tracks on the calendar. So I'm going to hope for a strong race here. Of course, the few tracks afterwards, of course, Suzuka, Qatar, Texas, Mexico, Brazil, Portimao. I'm pretty strong at all those tracks, so this is going to be pretty much the last truly difficult track of the season for us. So don't be surprised if and we end up having a really dominant end to the season. But who knows? Anything can happen, especially judging from last episode, and that's why we love F1. On the off chance something absolutely crazy could happen, and yeah, on certain occasions, on most occasions, a lot of the AI are faster than me in qualifying, and I don't know, we'll see. Well, not a lot of the AI, but a good chunk of them. Singapore, once again, like I said, not a strong track for us, so we'll have to find out. Let's see if there's any upgrades coming into this race. No upgrades. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into the Singapore qualifying for the final time in F1 23. So here we are, Singapore qualifying. Once again, a track that, I'm not the strongest at. Probably one of my weakest circuits on the entire game, to be quite honest. But I tried a little something different here for this qualifying and the weekend in general, and that is maximum downforce and even less rear wing. So I've turned the rear wing down to 35, and the front wing is up to 50. So you might already be able to notice the car is a little extra slippy. We've got a bit too much oversteer, so maybe I've overdone it a bit, but as long as I can keep the car in control, I think we'll be really good on a lot of the corners for sure. But unfortunately, we're going to be sacrificing some of our speed on the straights. Of course, I've tried to negate some of this with the 35 rear wing instead of, I think what I usually run is about 45, something like that. I don't know, but I'm running 50 front wing. I don't know if I said 40 by accident. Sorry, I'm running 50 front wing. So, yeah, on certain corners, especially high-speed corners, you're going to see some oversteer issues. Sometimes, usual times I would turn, the car ends up turning earlier than I anticipated, I mean, look at this corner right here, slipping a little bit, getting caught on the curb. So, with the oversteer, that corner especially is made a little bit more difficult. So, going to have to polish that up a bit. But honestly, not a bad lap for the first try, of course. Not everybody had been out, but I wasn't able to go for a second lap, getting impeded by the Haas of Deruvula and the Alpine of Gasly. And in my frustration, I just thought I'm going to completely cut this guy off. But he was already done with his lap anyway, so quite frankly, I didn't do anything except cost Alpine a little extra money, and that was it. That was our Singapore qualifying over, essentially. But yeah, our car in general apparently isn't very good around Singapore. George Russell, our teammate, down in P13, but that might be down to his really poor run of form lately. I don't know what it is. He's just not been good in the second half of the season. It's quite worrying, We want the 1-2 in the season, but he's not picking up any good performances. And I did say it a couple episodes ago, didn't I, that we would be reaching some of the more difficult circuits on the calendar. And Singapore is definitely the one I was worried about the most. And, yeah, P9 is where we start.
Marina Bay hosted a Grand Prix that briefly ran in the 60s and 70s, but the Garden City re-entered the calendar for good in 2008. We missed it for a couple of years, but it was great to come back to the Singapore Grand Prix. Here's the track, and it's all changed for 2023, with 4 corners removed between turns 16 and 19. It means the lap length is now just over 3 miles, and that might come as a welcome relief to the drivers, and more especially their brakes. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Norris, Gasly, Bottas, Théo Pourchaire, Oscar Piastri, the owner driver, Sainz, Tsunoda, Perez, Russell, Ocon, Stroll, Liam Lawson, Joe, Drugovich, Albon, Sargent, Deruvula, De Vries, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. And joining me again for the race today, Natalie Pinkham. Let's have a chat about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within the team seems...
So this is the time where I usually tell you what I discovered in the practice sessions, but as you would have noticed earlier, I didn't get much time to run, and I didn't get to run on the hards at all. So we're sticking with the softs and mediums for now, but we'll see what happens throughout this race.
Here we go then, the formation lap is underway and the track temperature looks warm, and that may or may not play into some of the team's hands in today's race. We're almost ready to start the race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
So yeah, the hards, little bit of an unknown factor about them, as I wasn't able to get them in the practice sessions, of course. I had to prioritize medium and soft tire runnings, because I do mediums for the race strategy program, and then of course we obviously test the softs, because that's what we usually start on anyway, unless they are, you know, particularly bad for the circuit. But they weren't for Singapore. They actually seem to be okay for Singapore, so we'll be starting on the softs along with everybody else, but we're most likely going on to the mediums. Again, we'll have to see what happens, but here we go. It's a 5 red lights, elevated to P8, and it is lights out and away we go for this Singapore Grand Prix. And Teo Pourchaire, oh, look at this, almost 4 wide going into that first corner, and I've had to go over the curbing and like basically follow Pourchaire, and I'm just so flustered right now. George Russell has come out of nowhere. He's gained about 3-4 positions there and has overtaken us. So yeah, I've been caught completely off guard by the first lap, the first few turns of chaos right there here in Singapore, and now we're being pressured by the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. So there is the lack of straight line speed coming into play there. We've kept the front downforce at 50, and honestly we might be regretting that right now as we struggle to keep up with Russell. And I'm just so flustered on this first lap. I'm just completely off my guard. Honestly, this felt so weird, because like I'm pretty much an expert at the settings that I've got on this F123 game. Of course, I'm about ready for F124 now, ready for a new game. I've mastered this at my preferred settings. But Singapore took me completely off guard. I was just not comfortable at this track, and to be quite honest with you, I never have been comfortable around Singapore here in F123, whether it was the old layout that we did in Season 1 or the new layout that we've had since. Yes, we may have won this Grand Prix a couple of seasons ago, but that doesn't mean I've ever been comfortable. And there is that snap of oversteer that I was talking about on that last corner, and we've actually lost a position to Carlos Sainz here, and Yuki Tsunoda is now pressuring us in his McLaren. Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, not too far behind. He is on the mediums, hoping to capitalise on some tyre wear, perhaps. I don't know, but it's judging from what we've gone through so far, it seems we have a long race ahead of us, but we're going to keep on going. We're going to stick to it, and we're actually going for a big lunge on the inside of Carlos Sainz. Very borderline penalty range right there, making a little bit of contact with the side pod of the Ferrari, but we managed to retake P9 here, and hoping to now chase down our teammate. Of course, when people's tyres start to wear out, our extra downforce might actually come in handy, as long as we can keep the car as stable as possible. And that statement is coming true right here as we move on to lap 5, and I've really caught up to the cars ahead here, diving on the inside of George Russell. This time it is a lot more cleaner, but it being cleaner has given Russell the chance to fight back, and obviously he is going to be the quicker car here with the lower downforce setup. So we're using ERS here to just try our very best to keep ahead of Russell. We're on the outside here, but we have managed a little bit of contact, but we have managed to take the position right here. But we've got yellow flags behind us. I don't know what's going on here. A little snap of oversteer right there. Russell catching up, but it's not going to matter. A safety car has been called out. I don't know who for, I don't know what has happened. But as you'll see in just a couple of moments, or in just a few moments, it seems to have been multiple cars, as multiple cars have, multiple drivers have received penalty. But I've decided to pit now. Some people are also pitting. They'll most likely be going on to the mediums, but since we're pitting so early, I thought, you know what, we've done no testing on them, but we're just so off our rocker in this race. I'm not comfortable at all. So you know what? We're going to chuck in the hards. We're going to chuck in another unknown variable, another unstable situation here. Again, this is the first time I've driven on the hards around Singapore in this season. So yeah, we got a lot of work ahead of us. So yeah, a couple of cars have received some penalties. They will obviously serve them in the pits. But I mean, look at this safety car right here, and we got the two AlphaTauris in the top 10 once again, just like Monza. So a good chance for AlphaTauri to maybe pick up some more points, but Albon may have left it too late, and I just don't think Nick de Vries is that man, you know. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the AlphaTauri situation there. But look at this, Théo Pourchaire is in P1, and look at that, Alexander Albon now pits. Oh, that is an awful timing for him. What is he doing? What are AlphaTauri playing at? They may as well have double stacked. De Vries has also pit. So AlphaTauri have just completely thrown this situation to the wayside. And oh, we've had to take evasive action there. And a bit of contact made with the Haas of Liam Lawson. It wasn't any major contact, but wow. These hard tyres definitely weren't warmed up, that's for sure. But if they weren't then, they definitely are now. With that bit of action. But yeah, totally different situation. This safety car appears to have saved us just a little bit here. P6, and if we can, you know, try and keep up with Piastri as much as possible, especially since Verstappen is in front of him, we stand a good chance. But as you can see, a little in front here, Pierre Gasly has already gapped Verstappen. So does Max Verstappen in the Red Bull have an engine issue? Perez is nowhere to be seen. So do both Red Bulls have an engine issue? Look at this though, diving on the inside of Piastri once again in the hairpin, and we got really close to the wall there. Very aggressive overtake, really getting the elbows out. But yeah, Verstappen in the RB19, or well, what would it be, 5 years later, isn't it? The RB24 at this point, I don't know. But definitely suffering some engine issues here. He's already a second off of Gasly, and you know, he's not been fighting at all. That's in clean air. And we are really struggling, meanwhile, on these hard tyres so far. But we've been struggling this whole race. How we are here in P5, I will never know. But look at this Piastri looking to make a move around the outside, but we've defended that quite well, not giving him nearly enough space to go along with that. And as we move on to lap number 12 here, Piastri still keeping up with us very well, but we are now catching up to Max Verstappen pretty quick here. With the DRS, so yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that he has an engine issue, but that was a very aggressive overtake, and you can pretty much see what I'm doing here, trying to get the elbow out as much as possible and give ourselves as much time as possible behind us. And Verstappen will now most likely hold up Piastri as much as possible in the hopes of keeping that P5. But yeah, definite engine problems happening with the Red Bulls here. Got no idea where Perez is, but yeah, as you can see, we've skipped ahead all the way to lap 21. Piastri has been able to make the pass on Verstappen, 2 seconds ahead now. And yeah, look at how far the three guys ahead of us are. Like, it's a whole different ball game there. So it was a pretty lonely race for us. But P4, considering the circumstances, is damn good. Charles Leclerc takes the win for Ferrari. Lando Norris P2 in the Mercedes, and we got a lot of tyre wear on those hards. Pierre Gasly takes P3. I wonder how bad the tyre wear was on those mediums. But yeah, P4, again, considering the circumstances, is really good. But I'm hoping to get back on the podium really soon. It's been a couple of races now where we've struggled. So next race, Japan, I'm hoping we'll do better.
after a fantastic race. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, what a race. At the end of the day, it is all about raw pace, and our winner had it in spades today.
Here come our winners now, a thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Well, it is a bit, I do feel a bit bitter over Pierre Gasly on that podium, considering what he did in qualifying, completely impeding my lap. But maybe that was my fault. I didn't come out of the pits in time. I don't know. He got in my way, though. That's all that matters to me. But yeah, the pace of those top three guys was absolutely insane. I don't even think even with a good setup, we would have got there. But yeah, I never managed to get the hang of Singapore in this game. Same with Baku, really. Jeddah, I'm surprised I was able to get the hang of that. But yeah, Baku in my team and Singapore in my team, I just was not able to get the hang of it, unfortunately. So, yeah, that's where we leave it off. P4, again, I don't mind it. And we actually got a win in Singapore in this series, you know. That's more than what can be said for Baku, for example, you know. Japan should be a pretty decent race for us. I'm not looking forward to Qatar, though. That has been a pretty similar race, to be honest, to this one, where, you know, we tried to prioritise downforce and then been a sitting duck on the straights. So, you know, it'll be quite interesting to see what I can do about that in our final race around Qatar. And Qatar has changed a lot in F1 24, so it's going to feel like an almost completely different race. It'll be a similar or the same layout, but it looks so different. It's the same with Spa. And, yeah, I'll make the announcement now. Unless you didn't know already, in case you didn't know already, I have pre-ordered the Champions Edition of F1 24. So by the end of this month, we will be full steam ahead on driver career content. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. I certainly am, that's for sure. But we still have MyTeam to finish, and we still have about 7 or 8 episodes left. So stay tuned for all of that. Once again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time for some more F1 23. Peace.